Intelligent talk that's sure to raise the IQ.
Here's Guy Wehman, Ben Brunson, and Frank Vernuccio, Inside the News.
Welcome back to Inside the News. I'll tell you what, I wish we could have had you in on some of the behind the scenes as during that last commercial break, because it was absolutely fascinating. SCOTUS, well, they're going to be busy with all these lawsuits, but we talked about this FBI agent up in New York, and that he was forced out. He was forced to retire, forced to resign, actually, from the FBI. And Pam Bondi was insistent upon that, along with Kash Patel and everything else. And there's a lot of interesting things coming out. Frank, we're going to start with you, and then we're going to get to Ben. Go.
Well, one of the complaints of the Trump campaign was that the entire mechanism of the federal government had been turned over for partisan political purposes. And certainly the FBI was one of the chief architects of all of that. And when we look at what the FBI had done in terms of investigations of Donald Trump and not investigating, for example, the crimes of Hillary Clinton, not punishing the crimes of Hillary Clinton, that certainly is it. Now, Epstein, who was rumored to have been a very key supporter of the Democratic Party, did a lot of files there. The FBI sat on them, didn't release them. And I think we start to realize why that is. The embarrassment, I think, to the Democratic Party when we get to see all of those names and all of those files that the New York office, the Southern District of New York office has held, I think will be a real blow to the Democrats.
Okay, Ben, there's a lot of background tapes here that they're starting to discover with this FBI agent. And you talk about Epstein blackmailing. Well, what about the FBI too? Go.
Well, let's start with the facts. First off, firing the head guy in the New York office is a start, but I suspect they need to clean out pretty much that entire office and restaff it to get back on track. They seized all of the Epstein evidence that was in his New York townhouse, his multi-million-dollar townhouse. Apparently, there are thousands of hours of videotape. This was the core of his blackmail material. And if you haven't figured it out, Epstein was running a big blackmail operation and no doubt working with the CIA and Mossad, where convenient for Epstein, but also working for himself. It's how he became such a wealthy individual. There is the other shoe is yet to drop in this because it's going to get ugly when the reality comes out. Apparently, Pam Bondi has stated that something like a truckload of information finally got delivered from the FBI New York office to Washington, D.C. So hopefully we'll see what gets released from here, but it's going to get ugly. The FBI is completely corrupt. It has a long history of blackmailing people, going back to the days of J. Edgar Hoover, who himself was under blackmail threat by Roy Cohn for years and years because J. Edgar Hoover liked to dress as a woman and go to gay parties. And that's just a historical fact and a reality that he was filmed doing it. So this is a mess. You've got Kash Patel. He brought in Dan Bongino. Great call. They're not moving really fast, in my opinion, but I think they're taking the time to discern who's who among the operation. And I think there will be a day coming up very soon where a huge chunk of the senior leadership and the middle management of the FBI gets ousted, probably in a 24 or 48 hour period. It needs to happen, and it needs to happen sooner rather than later.
You know, Frank, what is interesting, Kash Patel, it might take him a little bit of time here to gather the information, but when he does, he's got it all complete. He is ready to go and ready to release it. We've seen this. This is his history. He knows what he's doing. And so he's not going to rush to judgment. It's like, well, wait a minute. I'm going to take my time. We're going to go through this. But when he does release it, you know he's talking about some solid material that he's got, Frank.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's tens of thousands of pages of material. And you don't want to simply go by what's on the piece of paper. You want to do a little background investigation to make sure that what you're reading is accurate as well. So I don't think this is going to happen very fast. I think there's going to be a meticulous look at all the documents. And again, there's a heck of a lot of them, plus some background checks of what's in that material. And then we're going to see the results. And I think the results, as Ben said, are going to be quite shocking. and it's going to lead to a lot of people being forced out.
Ben, you were shaking your head when I said Kash Patel is very methodical in what he does.
Yeah, that's his history. Is his style. He's a detail guy. He gets in, he digs through the facts and gets a very solid picture of the lay of the land before he acts. And I think that's what he's going to do at the FBI. So while I am eager, I'm more on the Elon Musk mode of, break things fast and quickly, and then fix what you shouldn't have broken after the fact. I think Kash Patel is in a different mode where he wants to understand what he's doing and then pull the trigger on people. And boy, he's got a hell of a task, like everyone does, like Elon Musk does. You've got Elon Musk and this administration facing 100 lawsuits that have been filed, and the number of lawsuits are growing almost by the day to try to thwart what they're doing. The American people are solidly behind what Musk is doing at Doge, and the need to root out the criminality and fraud. And I use the word criminality because we're going to find out that this has been a massive grift to the tune of tens of billions, maybe hundreds of billions, going into the pocket of operatives. NGOs are the key. I mentioned this months ago on the show. NGOs are the key, because what has happened is these NGOs get stood up. They're just not-for-profits that get created, and then they get funded by the government because they have some great name and mission statement. We're going to bring out, we're going to track down sex trafficked children and return them to their homes and things like that. And billions get sent to these things, and those billions are almost unaccounted for completely. There needs to be audits and criminal action, and you're going to find out that people were getting insanely rich. You want to understand how AOC goes to having a multi-million-dollar net worth? You're going to start to understand this way. And the other thing I'd say is, a week ago Friday, Elon Musk was on Joe Rogan. Everyone should watch that. But in the last half hour of that episode, he talked about being afraid for his life if he really started to reveal how deep the corruption is, especially among Democratic Party members of Congress, and how they've made so many tens of millions of dollars. Ultimately, he's going to have to go there, but he was genuinely afraid for his life.
Frank, you're nodding your head in agreement with that too. Go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you have to, one figure I think that is going to wind up being sort of the poster child for all of this is Stacey Abrams. She has paraded around the country with no visible means of support. She has put together organizations with no visible means of support themselves. But then you find out that she is the head or involved with an NGO organization that has gotten billions of dollars of aid for no visible reason whatsoever. So I think you're going to see some major Democrat figures take a huge fall, have to answer to the public. The question is, how much will the media, except for great shows like ours, censor out this information?
Oh my goodness, yes. And I wanted to get into some Kristi Noem's with what's going on with sanctuary cities, because that is fascinating in themselves, and all of the, well, I'll tell you what, we're out of time in this segment. We've got to take a break. But coming up is the Brunson files, and who knows where we're going to go there. We might have alien life forms visit this show, and it might appear in one of these boxes on YouTube. You never know. They've got that funny face. And this is Wehman, Brunson, and Vernuccio and alien forms. We're going to take a life. We're going to be right back.
You're listening to Wehman, Brunson, and Vernuccio, Inside the News.